Well, my name is Francois Lionet. I am 62-year-old and will be 63 on the 6th of July. And I am the author of game creation tools, namely STOS, AMOS, Click and Play, Jamagic before, Click and Play, Jamagic, Fusion, and this kind of thing up to AOZ.
Yeah. Do you remember the exact moment you first got hooked on computers?
Of course. I mean, it was a pivotal point in my life. It was in June 81. June 81.
You even remember the month?
Oh, I remember everything.
Yeah.
I remember everything.
Yeah.
When I received the big box from an English shop containing my first computer, a Super Bowl II Ohio Scientific.
Ooh.
So this was in 81. So it was, before the ORIG, before the Commodore 64, or maybe exactly at the same time, but I think before. At the time, you found the ZX81, I think, just out. Even though you had the Apple II. And but it was out of price, so I managed to find this single board computer that was really cool with 4 kilobytes of RAM, 32 by 32 display with a 256 character set, including a lot of gaming elements like a Star Trek ship. Yeah. Enough to make games of the time, like shoot them up and Space Invaders, plus a good BASIC by Microsoft when they were making good BASIC, and all this for 2,500 francs.
Yeah,
which was cheap, including a saving on a cassette, etc. for the time, and the keyboard. The only thing missing was the box and the power supply. So I got it. I got an old TV from the cellar, the kind of old black and white TV that no one likes, but still works.
Yeah.
You must have had that in your cellar sometime. So got it and plugged it. Everything was working, but it was an NTSC machine, and the video system of the time was SECAM. Even worse than PAL.
Yeah.
Even worse. So the display was okay on the first 10 lines, but after it was completely distorted. Yet I could do a few things. I immediately ordered a kit at the same shop, and then received it, soldered it, and then had a real computer. But it was a really cool machine, really great machine.
Did it have an operating system of any kind?
Yeah, well, it had the Ohio Scientific OS something, I don't remember. What was cool, well, when you booted the machine, you had a choice. Either you go into monitor or you go into basic. So by default, you go direct to basic, as it was on the machine at the time. You are in basic.
Yeah.
But if you press like C or M, I think at the time of the boot, you were entering the machine language monitor, in which you could actually code, but you had to type the numbers and all this.
Yeah.
But you could load binaries, run them directly, so you had a direct access to the machine. The only system part being the page 0. In the 6502, you have the first page of 256 bytes. Mm-hmm. That is kind of special, like really fast access and really handy to make games. And I had to find my space in it, that it was not messing with the system. And then, I could make games.
Yeah.
So I made my assembler in BASIC.
Oh.
I bought a book about 6502. You make a couple. You were arriving on such a machine. Imagine you then.
Yeah.
What you would have done a car game. Yeah, okay, basic, but it's slow.
Yeah.
You want more. So the only way of the time would be to buy a book, 6502, and there are not that many instructions, like 100.
Mm-hmm.
And each instruction is simple. So it's very simple, 6502. And I had to do a ZX80 or Zlog assembler. That would have been much more difficult, but
Yeah.
6502. So I made my little assembler in BASIC, and then I was writing my programs at the prep school,
Oh.
vet school. I was
Yeah.
admitted to the vet prep school in math and English. I was writing programs and coding them in my room in the evening and this kind of thing.
Yeah. You must have had a lot of computers back in the day, Amiga and Ataris. How many of them do you remember?
I would say all.
Can you list them all?
Let's go. So I had a Superboard 2. That was the first one. I do not count the TI 57 before. It's a half a computer. So Superboard. Then the next one was an Oric one. The next one was a Commodore 64. The next one was a CPC. Then an Atari, then Atari ST, then an Amiga 500, then, it's becoming a bit more blurry now. I think I had a Falcon, then I had several, I didn't do much with it, because the STOS was so badly coded that each time system changed, the place where I was peeking, not calling the system to get the coordinates of the mouse. I was just looking, this is changing. When you move the mouse, this changes, so just peek. Sorry. Yeah. So each time explaining why each time there was an update of the system, STOS didn't work. So I was to make a version on the Falcon, but didn't do anything. I had, the hard drive. I had a Thomson TO7, the worst machine ever existing.
Oh.
I had an Atmos. I had an IBM PC 1512 with a nice monitor to make Captain Blood. Nice color monitor. Of course, I had 2000. I had 1000, the one of Jim Cuomo I was talking about in the our discussion before. You can ask later. I may reveal the truth.
You're free to do so.
I keep for the end. So I had many, and I had a lot of Amigas.
Yeah, you mentioned the worst machine ever. Can you explain why it was the worst machine ever?
In England, you had the BBC series on the TV, with the BBC microcomputer made by Acorn, the inventor of the RISC processor and all this kind of people. So it was, it was very expensive. Not everyone could buy it, but at least in the school, you had a good computer. And it was in every school, and you had a TV show every week. And it was that was the start of a whole business and a whole generation of video game creation in England. Without it, there would have been nothing. In France, at the same time, we, the French, at the time, we were still the inventors of the Minitel. And yes, the Minitel was fantastic technology. It really changed the life in France. And fortunes were made with the Minitel. American investors, when they saw that, what? But never exported. Because certainly to French. And so at the time, we decided to make a French machine, blah, blah, blah. And they gathered all the cheap parts of the Minitel, including the graphic chip. And it was awful plastic quality. The software was terrible. It was a terrible machine. The only thing, and I know that people who will be listening to that and who learned on this machine will hate me, and I don't care.
Okay.
I had to do a machine, and we had that in France, and it was all political money under the table, as it is in France. So we had the infamous plan informatique pour tous that led to nothing but political scandals. Whereas in England, they had a proper machine and honesty of politics.
You mentioned the Amiga 1000. Where did you get it, and what's the story behind it?
Oh, this one. Well, it's a bittersweet story. I was through jokes. If you know my BO, I did work for a time with a group of Parisian and did several games with them before doing STOS and AMOS. They were friends with Jim Cuomo. Jim Cuomo, for the one who do not know, being the author of the music of the famous game on the Amiga, Defender of the Crown. Okay, yeah. He made the music. And he was a fabulous individual. At the time he was like 40, 45. Complete master of his art. I mean, he take a little saxophone like that and oh, what? It's amazing to see him play. A real nice guy. His mother was living in Colorado Springs, and she was very Catholic, and she wanted someone to create a game on the Commodore 64 explaining the Bible. Okay, so at the end of 87, which was the year I wrote STOS when I was in Paris, Jim told me, you can come to Colorado Springs, we pay for hosting and everything, spend the summer there. Your payment is to make this game for my mother.
How old were you at the time?
It was in 87, so I was 24.
Oh, so quite young then.
So yeah, it was a fabulous summer. I went there first for the CES at Chicago, where I met Jacques and Frederic from Jokes at the time. We were selling chicken shays or these kind of things. My mother made me a suit and I was ridiculous and I didn't know what to do at the show, but still was there. Then we took a car with two French ladies, a bit strange, but still, kind of, they were kind you imagine with a musician. We had two cars, one, from a service where you have to drive from A to B and leave the car, paid by the company. So this one cost nothing. And the other one was an old Buick or something. We had to put some liquid in the tank. And we did a road trip from Chicago through the mountains up to Colorado Springs. There, it was heaven, and I discovered many things, including behind the bar, before the rigs and everything, and fabulous time. And I did this. And at the end, there was this Amiga in his room, where he actually was sitting and writing the notes and taking little saxophone for the game that would be played by millions, billions of people have heard of it. Who knows? It was there, and then, we said, take it, I don't use it anymore. So that was a gift, a real one. But
that's a nice gift.
Yeah, but unfortunately, in the 2026, I was so depressed and really under the gutter, and the Amiga were taking all the space, and in deep of my depression, weighing 150 kilos, and this kind of things, that I got rid of all my collection of Amiga. But fortunately, it was from a collector living near Lyon, and I did tell him that this Amiga. So I'm sure this one is still preserved. I would like to hear about it, but I don't know.
Yeah.
That was the story.
Yes. And that's the same guy that got your special A3500 tower machine.
It was not a tower machine. I never had a Amiga tower. I had a flat 3500, and the front plate was really quirky. Nothing fit, but it was a kind in between 3000 and 400. Not really remarkable.
Okay.
But of course, the machine I preferred was the 4000 that I had. The Amiga 4000 with a great monitor. It was a fantastic machine.
Yes, I know. I still own a few.
Yeah.
Do you use any emulators for any of these old systems today? If yes, why?
I would like to, but I don't have the time. I still work for a living,
Yeah.
so for the moment, when there is no real intersection
Mm,
between what makes me live and what I
of course.
do, there's no
Yeah.
need.
Okay. But if you had to use one emulator only for one computer, which one would it be, and what would be the first thing you started?
Well, the best emulator for each platform. There are so many platforms.
Yeah.
For example, when I was making this product, this thing that didn't last long called STAM,
Yeah.
which was kind of a multi-editor in which you could have several languages mixing and program run whatever you want. I had this Commodore 64 JavaScript emulator. I mean, well, there's nothing to do. Click, and you have a working Commodore. This
Yeah.
kind of emulator, the only problem for say things like WinUIE or the version of UIE on every machine is that the guy who make the retro emulator are so in themselves
Yeah.
oriented to retro that somehow the interface, the front end that is between their incredible engine, of
Hmm.
course,
Yeah.
and the user is kind of difficult to understand somehow, if I may say. They would
Yeah.
need, another layer of more modern interface. That's all is lacking.
Okay. Let's go to the next section. What first pulled you into programming?
Sorry?
What is the first thing that pulled you into programming? What got you bitten?
Well, opening my eyes. Hello?
Oh yeah,
I
that's
don't
fast.
know. I don't know.
Okay. Can you tell us how you got involved with developing software for the Amiga or Atari?
Well, the Atari, it came naturally. After the vet school, I went to Paris to join in the Parisian place because at the time, and France being very centralized, it was the only place to be if you wanted to work in software and in video games. So I moved to Paris with 3 friends from the vet school who wanted to do a specialization in tropical medicine, veterinary medicine,
Mm.
in order to go to Africa and be
Yeah,
vet without border, this kind of things,
yeah.
And so it was good friends. So we rented a house near the Maison Alfort Vet Clinic, and I had my room, and this is where I wrote STOS. Okay.
Hmm.
What was the question? I can't remember the question.
Oh,
What? Oh,
how you first got
okay. So,
involved?
and then, I worked with Jacques and Frédéric during my vet studies on games on the Commodore 64, on the Amstrad CPC, and all this. So I was already in the channel, and the idea of making a new system for the Atari ST came quickly after the Atari ST was released in France. I arrived, it was late 86.
Hmm.
And it was a massive hit in France, more than the Amiga.
Oh,
Oh, yeah, because the Amiga was much more expensive than what it
yeah.
should have been because of the SECAM TV system.
Mm.
The Amiga was made for the PAL TV system, which is the one used in Norway and England.
Yeah.
But France, at the time, they had their specific, oriented for Africa and Russia, this kind of thing, TV system called SECAM, which was technically better, but more expensive to make and French.
Yeah.
So, in order to have a working Amiga with color, you had to add 500 francs. Imagine 500 euros today to the price of the machine for a specific device to do the conversion. And knowing that converting RGB is still not simple today. Okay, so the machine was really much more expensive than the Atari ST. And so the Atari ST was the success machine in France. Naturally, after we used GEM, as a gamer would use it, you see double size icon, you have to swap all the time, it's dead slow, it's ugly, and okay, the Atari ST was good to use in an office environment with a black and white monitor. It was great. But for the lower end customer, the one that wants to play game, nah. Okay. That's really what made me could not understand and accept it with this proposal of making a new system, complete new system, a DOS. That was not looking to the future, I know, but at the time we were coming from the PC.
Yeah.
Making a new DOS for the Atari ST. So they presented me with Constantin Sotiropoulos, who was still is on every STOS name because we share the royalties, even if his spot was not taken at the end. And me was as it was what you had on the machine of the time. You had a basic and you had a DOS. So I was to make the basic.
Yeah.
That's the story of STOS. So I had to buy an Atari ST to answer your question.
Yeah. Amiga and Atari. Which one was your favorite to develop on and why?
Okay. I will do the same answer than the last one, if I may say.
Yeah?
Both. Because you cannot, if I answer today this question, everyone will expect, oh, we prefer the Amiga, blah, blah, blah. No. Because at the time, when I had the Atari ST, it was an amazing machine for the time. And even though it didn't have all the scan and copper and all this, it was still a 68,000. So coming from 6502, it's the same. But wow, just like opening the window and it's window Vistas, that works. Vista, that works. And everything, and a lot of memory. So it was a shock. So yeah, of course, the Atari ST at the time of the Atari ST, and then the Amiga at the time of the Amiga. Of course, they were both the best.
Yeah. Did you ever have any direct contact with Commodore or Atari Inc.?
No. And I tend to laugh a bit about it. So maybe Europress had contact in England with them, but I never heard about any official support from their side in England. In France, never any contact from anyone from Commodore, despite the fact that I was publishing columns in at least 4 magazines, making each month I was making like 25 pages of STOS and AMOS columns during a time in various magazines, also published in England and all this. Never any call from them, except at the end, when on the money side it was getting a bit tougher. And they were just, oh, is this guy Francois Lionet? Maybe he has money. Well, no, sorry. And they decided to give me the price of the best CD TV development system. They were looking, where can we put this one?
Yeah.
At the very end, when after the CD TV, so it was already. So yeah, they had to call the worst one, the worst programmer in the world. Actually, I was not called that yet, but yeah, this one I have to talk about. So they had to call the worst programmer in the world, and I did receive my prize. I went to Milan, all expensive, in a nice hotel, and enjoyed the money of Commodore and how it must have been nice to enjoy with such money. So it was one of their last was there. This Milan convention, and this is also where I met Francis Poulain, and we really became friends. And it's with Francis that Yves and I founded Click Team later. So everything is linked.
Yeah, of course. Most people know you as the creator of AMOS. Could you tell our viewers how it all started?
Well, it started with STOS. So you know that it's Jacques and Frédéric that associated us, and then I made the basic, and so I did STOS. It was published in France at the end of '87 by Cédric Nathan. It didn't sell. We even had at the time -50. Because at the time you had to advance boxes, and so -50 for the French STOS. And then Jacques and Frédéric took STOS to England, found Europress, and then Europress got rid of all the black part, the DOS, and the system part.
Yeah.
And centered it, made a nice box, and it was a hit. So after that, it was in '88. In '89, I did the compiler, and then the market of the Atari was falling in front of the Amiga, and the Amiga was clearly winning. So it's Europress who asked, "Can you do a version for the Amiga?"
Aha, okay. Yeah, before you created AMOS or STOS, what problems did you personally feel needed solving in game development?
Well, it was a time that you and I can recall.
Yeah.
Well, I can recall more than you with the time of, but with the demos and everything.
Yeah.
Before, the machine were completely different. This machine had the 6502, this machine has a Z80. So there is already a definite cut between the two. One is Indian normal, the other is reversed. One has segment, one is flat. One is kind of simple on the hardware and programming side, but slower in some specific domain. The Z80 is very clever in its design, but more difficult to understand and code. Yet you can achieve more with one process. And all this, there was no unity at all. So when I had to do the same game on different platform, I had to redo everything from scratch. So of course, what every programmer would have told himself at the time, if he had the power to, let me just get this camera up.
Good.
I have to make the tools so that I can skip this part of displaying a sprite, playing some sound on the speaker, make the move from left to right, all this, simplify my work to industrialize,
Yeah.
And as I was making the basic to do it, so I was making the engine to make the engine. It's already started there.
Yeah.
And then I realized that by inventing the concept of extension, no one was doing it before me.
Mm-hmm.
Opening the source code in a simple API, because I had no time to implement this function, then let the others do the work. Thank you.
Yeah.
And without extensions, I mean, the product would have been dead, but it's the extension that has maintained STOS and AMOS alive.
Mm-hmm.
All this. And making such a product, you have to take into account the time. And such coders like you and I, it's not 5 minutes and say, I want to make a game with a model. It's every day, every hour, you spend 10 minutes on just reading the same 3 words. 1 hour on 3 words. 10 days on 1 bug. You spend time in the universe of your creation, even more time than an author of novels.
Yeah.
An author of novels, he makes his novel, okay, it's done. Oh yeah, I said that, and it's okay. Yeah, the character does this, and I talk about this in the next tome that you should buy.
Yeah.
But us, not only do we spend, well, at the time when you used to code for coding, not only did we spend more time than a software author, when you write a sentence in a novel, it doesn't crash the book somehow.
Yeah.
And normally every programmer should step through his code before launching or releasing. So not only have we analyzed the inner of every decision of the novel, But we know what leads to this and that. So not only do we have a complete, every programmer who has been deep in one project for more than a month knows if you do this, all the trees there, everything, you know everything. We are unique. Programmers have this ability, and this is what you have to realize, because we are gone. We are the last ones. We have learned to learn. Okay?
Yeah.
And this kind of people like us, I mean, there won't be many in the future, because you won't need such analysis, because it will be done by models. And, if there is no more other than hobby, okay, retro is turning from necessity, the computer we used to use, forgetness. When you had kids, you didn't care about retro. Retro vamp up is only since the kids have a wife and are married. And now people like you, 45, 50, go in the cellar and find their machine and have time to rediscover it. And this is why retro has been booming since only 5 to 10 years, not more. Before, the kids, had to take care of them.
Yeah.
No time. But it still is a hobby.
Yeah.
So you can talk about the hobby at school. You have to learn to code, but no one is going to learn to code when you will say, Gemini, launch 100 agent and make me this report or this video game for my kid tomorrow, and it will be done. So, and only a very few, like the old ones, or maybe some geniuses that will be spotted at the beginning, or really with a passion for it. Not that many like mine. No, I had the blessing of being born with a passion, such a passion. And so the kind of people like you and I, there will be less and less. That's frightening.
Yes, it is actually. That's quite deep.
Sorry.
Yeah, but that's good. For a lighter question, if you had to describe AMOS today in one sentence for someone who's never used it, what would it be? The first game engine, including all the quirks, something like that. Yeah. And so, for a question I know you like, what was the most surprising use of AMOS you ever saw from a user?
Oh yeah, this one.
Yeah.
Yeah, you kind of already asked me this question. I wonder why.
Yeah, me too. I have no idea.
Yeah, so this one was an English user. Only an English could do that. He designed a complete theater, theater with a place where you get a ticket, you've got the reservation of seats, you've got the program, you've got the mailing, you've got the accounting, and everything linked together. He did all that in AMOS. Or was it Click and Play? Or was it Game Factory? I think it was one of them. It's okay. From A to Z, it was working. It has been used in his theater for years. It was absolutely perfect. In AMOS, someone I'm sure of, a friend of mine, a French guy, who had the luck at the very beginning of internet and URLs to buy art.com, art.com.
Yeah, oh wow. Yeah.
For another name, it was Autre Résolution Toujours, but it was making art and then could sell it for a couple of millions to the French government. Then could found a company using AMOS, and he was making a complete live video feed system installed in his city, where he could broadcast advertisement from his server at home, and it was displayed in bakeries and this kind of things. So many things. It's as long as people want to dig, it's you dig, you're in a hole. When I'm in the beginning of a big project, I always picture myself with my rucksack, maybe something to dig, and I've got the big mountains, and I know. Because I know how I code, I know I've got an idea of the project, I know there will be shortcuts, and I know there will be some difficult parts to go over, etc. But I know that the day I begin, I will, in about a year, be on the other side and say, "Whoa, that was cool."
Yeah. Was there anything you wanted to add to AMOS back then, but never got the chance to add?
Yeah, well, the big failure of AMOS was no support for the new chips, of course, because as you know, as the people who watch us should know, could know, the Amiga, you have to define the palette in the copper list, and as AMOS screens were cut in the bottom, when a new screen was restored. When the top one was cut, you had to restore the palette. So it was okay for 16 colors or 32 colors, 2 lines. But 256, I was saying, this on screen will never work. But I never thought that I could split the palette between the one for the screen and the one for the rest.
Yeah.
And this has been done so simply by a French guy a couple of years ago.
And now to a question. What's the project you're most proud of? Is it AMOS or something else?
I don't... no, the project I'm most proud is the current one, because the one called AWI, I've been talking about.
Yeah.
When it's finished, I tend not to forget, but to push.
Yeah.
Well, that's why I don't have any retro machine, because I would not use them. I'm not this. When a thing is done, it's done. No regret.
You're not sentimental about them.
I'm not at all.
No.
And you have to talk about Rank Xerox. I would like to sell it. I would like to sell it.
Yes, I'm coming to that one. Just give me a few seconds.
I'm sorry.
There is one question before that. Modern engines like Unity and Unreal are powerful but complex. Do you think we lost something in accessibility?
They are complex. Are they so complex? In fact, no. They are complex because they offer too many options.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, exactly. It's just at the beginning they were not that complex. And this is why they were used by people saying, I can do it simpler, quicker than with the previous tool. That's usually what's happened. Someone has an idea, it multiplies the speed of development by 2, 5, 10, and you switch. Even if it costs you to convert the project, to understand, to learn, all this, it costs. Yeah. It's cost in time. For company, it's cost in investment in information and all this. This is why everyone is still stuck with Photoshop. And every new tool that you want to use has got the Photoshop system of interface, because somehow, they are there.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, would say many, but they are there.
Yeah.
What was the question?
Good question. Modern engines like Unity and Unreal have
they were simple, but it's due to the competition. Of course, when there is one like Unity, there's an Unreal Engine in the back, and then it's the war. You have the users that, of course, say, Unity is better, this one is better. You've got the fight between Atari ST and Amiga. So I had this option. But this option implies to have this menu of configuration. And if you click this box, then it relates to this property, then the engine, the physics engine, there, that crash. Okay.
Yeah.
And that's the user who wants it, because he would not buy it if there was not this new option that may crash. So we are all culprit of
Yeah.
this
Yes.
mess that the computing is today. We are
Yeah.
all part of it.
Yeah. Okay, let's go over to what I know you want to speak of, ranks.
Yeah. Mainly because I do need some money, and I've got a
Yeah.
wonderful little box I will sell on eBay. Okay, no, it was better. Ranks is my utter failure.
Yeah.
It's a game I accepted to make in '87 because I was needing money, and it was at the stage where I had the sprite engine of the STOS Basic working, so I could use it to do other things. I had the music, I had everything. So Jacques and Frédéric got in touch with were offered to be the coder of a game for Ubisoft called Ranks. The team was already done. They was looking for a coder, so I met the team. There were 2 graphic artists that I met in Paris, and there was smoking jointers. Ooh, what are you doing, guys? This kind. Don't you want this kind of thing? I've learned since.
Yeah.
Sorry. And the project, the guy in charge was called Thierry, and he was a very commercial guy. He knew the author, who was very famous Italian author. Ubisoft did pay certainly a lot of money to get the copyright and the authorization, so the team was all good. So we start doing. I show the first version 1 month later to Yves. Guillemot is happy. Carry on. And then when we reached the second stage of the second big level, the one with the hotels, Thierry disappears. Nowhere to be found. Impossible. So we were 3, the 2 graphic artists and me. And we met. What do we do? Do we tell it to Yves Guillemot, which is basically what we should have done? That would have been the common sense decision to take.
Yeah.
Bring Yves. We're sorry. Will you please give us the scenario of level 2 because we don't have it. This kind of things. But no. At the time, just fearing that he might get angry at us. That was the stupidest decision ever. We kept it for ourselves and only had to tell it at the end, but the product was a failure and it was a nightmare.
Yeah.
And like 3 years, at the 5 years later, I met again Yves Guillemot at a show. So, of course, as they had paid a lot of money and certainly had to commit to sales, they have lost so much money with it. And this is very rare. It's not in mint condition, but it will be signed. So,
yeah,
that's it.
Great.
Sorry.
That's fine. If you were designing a new programming environment today, what would you prioritize first?
Coding, logic. It has, you have to be able to do anything. And in this anything includes any game, including, because game, I think, are the most difficult, and demos, of course, are the most difficult things to do on a computer. For a game, a complete game, you have to have a scenario, you have to have music, graphics, sounds, networking that works at the best possible team, because at every drop frame you have complaints of thousands of users. It has to work on the lowest possible hardware to the highest possible hardware on everywhere of the chain, using as best as possible all the implementation on all the various cards, graphics, etc., coping with the flaws of the system and everything. So don't tell me that database programmers are better programmers than game programmers. If you do a game, you know.
Yeah.
And if you do game engine, you know as well.
Yeah.
But not on the same side.
Yeah.
I have a more overview look on it, but of course I'm not at the level of the guys I met, for example, when I was working at QLock. No. There were gods of 3D, knowing every instruction, every mode of every processor, of every graphic. Oh, do this, do this. Oh, incredible.
Yeah. Okay, we will get into the next question in a completely different video, but could you tell us a little bit, just a small introduction of what are you working on today?
Okay. I'm working on something I have real difficulty to communicate about, but it's taking shape. Because usually when I do something, it's too big to explain. So I'm sorry. I make an engine. So explaining an engine, you have to know what it can power first. I started AWI as a reaction to the publication of ChatGPT in 2020 on January. Okay, everyone was in really ChatGPT. Wow, wow, wow! Everyone was playing on his phone, creating poems, etc. Me, I said, okay, but what for? Because at the time you had no agent. So at the root, AWI was an agentic server before the agent. I was passing the command to extract the command, execute them on the machine if I recognize them, and then eventually process and give the answer. It had turned into I would say a metaverse engine. From networking to legal and digital identity. And with this, it's too big to talk to it. This is why I would like to talk to you about it first, explain it to you so that we find a better way. But I think it's it changes a lot of things in many domains.
We will create a separate video on that.
That would be cool. That would be cool. So you don't know, and anyway, I've been trying to talk about it. So online, I created 2 Patreons, no click. So certainly, I'm not explaining it well.
Okay. Let's get into the ending questions here. This is a nice one. Do you think internet has changed creativity for the better or the worse?
Up to the operation of AI, mostly for the better and the worse. But the better was like 60% and 40% worse still. But now that AI slop is more than 50% of the internet, that the AI slop creation engine are feeding themselves from the slop they already created, we are entering a loop of the snake eats himself. And as you certainly have watched such video, when you ask the same model to work on the same photo, it becomes like in a K. novel when you have phones that melts in front of you. If you remember Ubik by Philip K. Dick, at one time in the novel, whoever that would exactly fit this kind of universe, it cannot stand. And with the predictable loss of brain power, that models everywhere, no need of thinking. It's like using Google Map. If I put you a paper, well, you're Norwegian, normally you should be able to. But if I put you a paper map of the mountain and tell you go walk, no phone, don't tell me that it would take a bit of time for it to come back. And for me as well. So by not using the part of the brain, then of course they are still there. They can work, but it needs some effort to bring them back. And if you don't need effort because you pay for a €10 subscription or you have an AR model in your watch in 5 years. We are in kind of a dangerous situation that may lead to some movie like Idiocracy. Very quick, in fact, just a couple of generations and we're there. I don't know.
Right. What current limitation in hardware or software do you think will be solved next?
I would tend to go along with Elon Musk on this one. But he just say it's next year, but no, say in 20 years, you will have a device with a quantum thingy and some kind of converters to display quantum machin 3D bidule, or your watch. You'll take that we are in an exponential of exponentials progress. Not only the AI, before the AI, the human progress was already in exponential because tools were getting better. But now with the AI being exponential itself, so it's exponential of exponential, and the AI is in exponential of exponential power, something, so we are, it will reach a point of, okay, what do we do now? But we are not there. And yes, it's going to be difficult, but I'm kind of, despite everything I've said, I'm still positive that it could have a positive effect on humanity, and it could save us if it was well designed from the scratch. And that's my work on AWI. And I hope maybe I've convinced you that maybe AWI could be interesting somehow. A new view on what the internet should be. Including who you are online, your identity is inside of you. The problem with the digital security system is that your identity is outside of you. They take photos of you and they store your photo in database. In AWI, it's the reverse. You are you, and that's it.
Let's see. Is there any stories you have never told before that people might find interesting? That's a good question.
Oh, yeah. A good story. This morning I woke up and my cat was on my rug. When I go down the stairs, he usually goes like that. That's a good story. Everyday story.
Yeah, of course. Okay. If you could go back and give your younger self one piece of advice, what would it be?
As I said last time, two things. The first one being beware of alcohol. That's a good one. Yeah. And the second one, I can't remember. Just believe in your dreams. Believe in your dreams. Take the necessary time to make things. Don't go too fast. And it's me saying that now, but
yeah. We all learn. Okay, we're nearing the end now. Do you have any shout-outs or greetings you'd like to send?
Yes, to Hogne Tilterstad, I would love to discuss with you. I'm sorry for how our relationship ended, and I hope you will forgive me, and I would really love to present to you what I'm doing and know what you are doing.
Okay, that's it. Thank you for taking
you can be the intermediate.
Sure.
That would be fantastic.
Yeah, sure. Okay, thank you, and we will definitely be making more videos in the future.
I hope so.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much.